Assalamu alaikum. Eid Mubarak. Welcome to Millennium TV News. This is Fahmida Islam with you. Before moving on, let's look at today's top stories. Obama and Putin to hold talks at UN. China to announce climate pledge as Xi visits Washington. Migrant crisis, Germany boosts funding to regional states. Hajj stampede, Saudi king orders safety review. Bangladeshi Muslims celebrate Eid al-Azha with due respect. Those were the headlines, now the details. The meeting comes amid tension over Russia's military buildup in Syria and its annexation of Crimea last year. The two leaders will meet on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, a U.S. official told the AFP news agency. They are last reported to have spoken by phone after the Iran nuclear deal. Given the situations in Ukraine and Syria, despite our profound differences with Moscow, the president believes that it would be irresponsible not to test whether we can make progress through high-level engagement with the Russians. A senior administration official told the BBC. The official said that the main purpose of the meeting from the U.S. point of view was to ensure that Russia abides by the terms of the ceasefire in Ukraine negotiated in Belarus in February. It is not clear if the meeting will take place before or after President Putin speaks at the UN, correspondents say. The Russian leader is also due to meet Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe on Monday. The news comes after Mr. Xi arrived in Washington, D.C. for the next leg of his week-long U.S. tour. Mr. Xi Jinping and U.S. President Barack Obama held informal talks at the White House on Thursday evening, where they also discussed Iran's nuclear program. The visit has been overshadowed by ongoing cybersecurity disagreements. On Friday, Mr. Xi Jinping, who is making his first state visit to the U.S., will be hosted at the White House for a banquet with a 21-gun salute. A White House official told reporters that Mr. Xi Jinping would announce on Friday plans to launch a national carbon emissions trading scheme in 2017. The cap-and-trade scheme would see Chinese companies charged to emit pollutants beyond a certain level. China would also make a very substantial financial commitment to developing nations to help them move to low-polluting technologies, the Associated Press quoted the official as saying. The announcement follows on from a joint U.S.-China climate pledge in late 2014, when Mr. Obama set a new goal of reducing U.S. levels between 26% to 28% by 2025, compared with 2005 levels. China did not set a specific target, but said emissions would peak by 2030. Berlin also said it would pay €670 per month for every asylum seeker taken in. Chancellor Angela Merkel spoke after her talks with 16 state governors. She said Albania, Kosovo, and Montenegro would be declared safe countries of origin to reduce the stream of people coming from there to Germany. About 500,000 migrants, mostly from conflict-torn countries in the Middle East and North Africa, have arrived in Europe this year, exposing deep divisions within the EU. The EU this week agreed to resettle about 120,000 migrants across Europe. We'll take a short break here. Do stay with us. We are back in a moment with the headlines here. Prime Minister expresses condolences over Hajj stampede. No atmosphere to enjoy Eid, says Begum Khaleda Zia. Neymar, new ambassador for Gillette. Sourav Ganguly to become Bengal cricket boss, says Mamata Banerjee. Welcome back to Millennium TV News again. Another 863 people were injured in the incident at Mina, which occurred as 2 million pilgrims were taking part in the Hajj's last major rite. It is the deadliest incident to occur during the pilgrimage in 25 years. The king said there was a need to improve the level of organization and management of movement of pilgrims. It is the second disaster to strike Makkah in 2 weeks after a crane collapsed at the Grand Mosque, killing 109 people. As part of the Hajj, pilgrims travel to Mina, a large valley about 5 kilometers, which is 3 miles from Makkah, to throw 7 stones at pillars called Jamarat, which represent the devil. The pillars stand where Shaitan is believed to have tempted the Prophet Abraham. Eid al-Azha, the festival of sacrifice, is being observed on Friday in Bangladesh. However, residents of more than 100 villages celebrated the festival on Thursday in keeping with Saudi Arabia. One of the two feast festivals celebrated by Muslims, Eid al-Azha, falls on the 10th day of the Islamic calendar's last month, Dhul al-Hijjah. Eid al-Azha falls within the annual pilgrimage to Mecca known as the Hajj. Determining the exact date of Eid al-Azha is a point of contention and some wait for an official announcement from the authorities in Mecca. Muslims celebrate the holiday to commemorate their belief in Abraham's willingness to follow God's command to sacrifice his son Ismail and Ismail's consent to bring sacrificed. Today it is marked by slaughtering animals to feed the poor. Coming at the end of the Hajj, a journey of dedication and purification, Eid al-Adha is understood as an opportunity for second chances. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina expressed her condolences over the stampede tragedy at Mina in Saudi Arabia. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has sent a message to custodian of the two holy mosques and Saudi King Salman ibn Abdulaziz Al Saud, expressing shock and condolences at the tragic death of hundreds of pilgrims in a stampede in Makkah during Hajj pilgrimage on Thursday. I am extremely shocked at the tragic death and injury of hundreds of Hajj pilgrims in a stampede in Mina this morning. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun. The PM's message read out, "The people and government of Bangladesh join me in expressing their deepest condolences and heartfelt sympathies to Your Majesty and through you to the bereaved family members of the victims and the injured people from different countries." Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina said in her message, "We pray to Almighty Allah for granting them with the blessings of Hajj and the highest place in the paradise. May the Almighty Allah grant the victims and their near and dear ones the fortitude and patience to bear this irreparable loss." The message said Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is currently in New York to attend the UN Sustainable Development Summit and 70th UN General Assembly. Greeting the country's people on the occasion of Eid al-Azha, BNP chairperson Begum Khaleda Zia feared that people are unlikely to be able to properly enjoy the festival due to the prevailing anarchic situation in the country. In a message marking the Eid, she said an alarming anarchic situation has been prevailing in the country as there is no security of people and their property. Under the circumstances, it won't be possible for all to enjoy the Eid properly. The BNP chief observed that the poor and low-income people have been going through immense sufferings for unbridled price hike. She urged the country's well-off section of society to extend their helping hands and sympathy to the poor and destitute. We all should be careful so that no one remains unfed on the Eid day. We have to share the joy of Eid together. Begum Khaleda Zia prayed to the Almighty Allah so that the Eid brings happiness, peace and prosperity in everybody's life and creates religious harmony in society. She said, "I greet the Muslims in Bangladesh and elsewhere in the world on the occasion of Eid al-Azha and wish them Eid Mubarak." Gillette have announced that Neymar is to be their new ambassador for Latin America. The association was made public at a press event at Camp Nou, which looked back at some of the most memorable moments from his successful career so far, focusing on his precision and relating that to the connection between the ambassador and the brand. Gillette is a leader in the world of men's grooming and is the official sponsor of the club in Latin America until 2017, as was announced in October 2014 in an event that also involved Lionel Messi. During his appearance on Monday, Neymar witnessed videos from people who have accompanied him during his career. Amongst those who appeared to say a few words on the star were his idol Pele and his teammate Adriano. Sourav Ganguly will succeed late Jagmohan Dalmia as the president of Cricket Association of Bengal (CAB). This was announced by State Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee in Kolkata on Thursday evening. In this crisis period, someone has to take Dalmia's legacy forward. I feel Sourav is the right man. The Trinamool Congress chief said former India captain Ganguly is currently the Joint Secretary of CAB. He has served in this role for 14 months. Ganguly will decide the association's lineup now, said Banerjee, who added that Dalmia's son Abhishek will also be part of the plans. In the new setup, Dalmia Jr. could become a Joint Secretary. I have worked with the CAB officials for 14 months and everything is a challenge. We will speak to all the 121 members and discuss the way forward. I will do whatever I can. Very happy that Dalmia's son will also be a part of CAB. It's a big hole to fill, said Ganguly. Current CAB treasurer Bisharup Dey, who was seen as a presidential candidate, said, "It is an emotional moment for us. It is not even 3 days that Mr. Dalmia has died and to find a solution is a good way forward." Earlier, Dey had told NDTV.com any political pressure will be bad precedent for an association which has always managed to stay away from the clutches of political bigwigs. Let's have a look at Millennium TV News Recap. Obama and Putin to hold talks at UN. China to announce climate pledge as Xi visits Washington. Migrant crisis, Germany boosts funding to regional states. Hajj stampede, Saudi king orders safety review. Bangladeshi Muslims celebrate Eid al-Azha with due respect. You're up to date with your top stories over here on Millennium TV, and don't forget to log into www.millenniumtv.net. Thank you for staying with us. Eid Mubarak. Allah Hafiz.